Well, hello and welcome to another repair video from Stuart at Berkshire Guitar Amplifier Repairs in Reading, England. Today on the bench we have a Vox AC30 C2, and the customer says it's making some weird crackling, spitting, horrible noises which come and go and is worse after it's been warm for a little while. So let's not mess around, let's get the amp switched on and see if I can actually hear this for myself. Hopefully we can, otherwise I can't fix it. Okay, here we are, top side of the amp. I've got it plugged in, I've got the guitar plugged in, and let's see. Okay, turn it on standby for the moment. Power's on. We'll turn the tremolo down and the reverb down. Everything else kind of middling. And let's see what happens when we turn the standby on. Okay, can't hear anything at the moment. I can't even hear... Ah, it's just warming up now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's live. Okay, there we go. That sounds okay at the moment. Let's see if it will perform for us. Oh, I can hear a little change in hum there. I wonder if you can hear that. I can hear a very slight change. Oh, there we go. Did you hear that? A little kind of popping noise. See that little pop there and there? Ah, that's quite sensitive to me tapping. Ooh, squeaking away there. Ooh, and there. Okay, so that tells me quite a lot. It tells me it's a kind of mechanical problem, either a valve base, dry joint, something like that. It's not an electronic problem, as in faulty capacitor, faulty resistor, that type of thing. It's very sensitive to being tapped just here. Okay, I don't want to tap too much, because one of the main problems with the fault like this is the amp can fix itself. It can just go away, and no matter what you do, it never comes back. So I think I'm going to carefully take the back off. And this kind of feels like a valve to me. I bet you if I tap one of the valves very lightly, this sound will come and go. But anyway, let me take the back off carefully, gingerly, and see if we can see what's happening inside this thing. I was just taking some of the screws out, and look how hugely sensitive this is to being tapped, like just here. Hear that? So I'll carry on removing those screws. And see what we can see inside. Okay, I've got the back panel off. One of the things I really dislike about these Vox AC30s is you cannot get to the valves at all by taking the back off. You have to completely remove this chassis holder here, which is a bonkers arrangement in my view. You know, what kind of amp is that you can't change the valves on without fully dismantling it? Very, very annoying. Anyway, I don't think we're going to be able to do much without taking the chassis out. I don't mind taking the chassis out, it's just that I don't want to disturb the problem. So I'm just going to have a very gentle waggle of some of these interboard connecting leads here. It's very sensitive around here. I guess it's just possible it could be the old effects then return problem where these jacks get dirty. Trouble is that board is very sensitive. See, much more sensitive up here. I think it's this V1 actually. Just touching that. Yeah, so I would put my money now, just at this very early stage of the investigation, on a highly microphonic V1. Definitely sensitive around here, but whatever, I'm going to have to remove this this tray. This whole tray slides out with the chassis in it, and then you can get to the valves on the other side of this board, of course. So let's do that and hope that the thing, you know, unfortunately to do that I'm going to have to disconnect the speaker, disconnect the reverb, take the power out, take the chassis out, get it up on the bench, and then of course we want to make sure that it still is faulty and hasn't fixed itself. So anyway, let's do that, and I'll rejoin you when the thing's up on the bench and we can at least get to that valve. Okay, I gingerly took the sliding drawer out with the chassis on. Ridiculous design. I mean, these screws here are right at the back. You have to somehow get yourself in there with a screwdriver and fiddle around trying to undo them. Absolutely stupid. Before you can change a valve. I mean, come on. And the other thing, whilst I'm moaning about this, look at that printed circuit board in there. Supposing you had a problem with that printed circuit board and needed to change a chip or something, it is virtually impossible to do that. It's in a U-shaped chassis. Let me show you from the side. There we go, U-shaped chassis. This whole back board would have to come out before you could take this board out. Absolute nightmare in terms of repair. So just, you know, overall not impressed. Anyway, bottom line, here we are. Stop my moaning. Not in a very good mood today. And you can hear it popping away in the background, which is great. So here was the preamp valve that we thought was a bit sensitive. Well, it certainly is, but is it? But so's that. So, and so's that. So is it just this printed circuit board here, which again would be a right pain. Let's just try the power valves. Ooh, aha! I'm liking that. With the slightest touch on that, and that, and that. Slightly less on that. This is very sensitive. I'm barely touching it, and it's kicking off. I mean, the whole thing is sensitive, so I'm not quite sure what it is. I think what I'm going to have to do... Ooh, that is really... I was just I accidentally tapped here, look. Oh dear. This problems like this can be very hard to solve when you tap, and you know, no matter where you tap. I mean, if I tap here, it'll go off. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay. Very sensitive down here. You know, pretty much anywhere you tap. Okay. I mean, you'd think it was that, wouldn't you? But unfortunately, you know, anywhere you tap. Seems to be slightly more sensitive towards this end. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to take out the 4 power valves and pop in a new set just quickly to see what happens. So join me then. Right, here we are in phase 1 of the diagnostics and test routine. I've just changed to 4 output valves. Why? Because it's easy. It only takes me 5 minutes, and if it's one of those, I've got it sorted quite quickly. So we've taken the old valves out. I haven't turned it on yet. You're seeing it as I see it. Oh, it is actually on yet. I haven't taken it out of standby. Okay, I can hear that it's working. And of course we'll immediately know if that's the problem, because the second I start tapping here. Oh! Well, did we get lucky? Oh, I think we got lucky on the first go. Oh, awesome. Well, that's a real result, because I did not want to get involved in some kind of dry joint scenario on this board here, because you just can't get to it, you can't fix it, due to the very poor design of this amplifier. Well, that's great news. I think we're home and dry there with that little quick change. I mean, it was very sensitive around here, but of course it was also sensitive everywhere, so it could... I just slightly microphonic, that valve. These, what make are these? Tongue soles. Well, they're quite good, tongue sole. These are probably original. It's not overly microphonic, that. It is V1, so you'll get most of the microphony on V1 because it's being amplified by everything else, of course. Less on V2 and very little on V3, which is the phase splitter. Right, well, short video this today. Nice tremolo on these. That's good. Very nice tremolo on these amps. Well, lovely, job done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call the client, tell him he needs a new set of EL84s. They do run pretty hot in these amps. These are electro harmonics, the old ones. They're quite good too, electro harmonics. I've got nothing against those. You can tell by the writing on them though that they've been running pretty hot. The writing has kind of burned off them. They do run hot in these amps though. They were red hot, you know, when I tried to take them out. I had to wait several minutes before they cooled down enough for me to touch them. Interesting to see there's a bit more print on that one. So that one hasn't been running quite so hot. But they're probably the originals, probably been in since the amp was built. Not quite sure when that was, maybe 10-15 years. Right, I'm going to give the client a quick call and see if whilst I'm in here, because it's a bit of a mission, I can change these preamp valves as well. So I'll rejoin you when I've done that. Right, I've just got off the phone with the customer, and yes, he says whilst I'm in here we may as well change these preamp valves, which I think is sensible. It's not easy to change them without taking this whole chassis out. They're probably the originals anyway. They've had a fair bit of wear, so I'm going to pop in 3 new JJs. I'll do that, then I'll power it up, and just you can rejoin me again to make sure the amp's still working, and we'll have another little tap around and make doubly sure that that's all sorted. Rightio, that didn't take long. I've popped in 3 new valves. Bit of a motley selection came out actually. We've got 2 tongue soles and Sovtech, I think that is, yeah, Sovtech. So I'm not sure if someone's been in here before and changed a preamp valve. I doubt that Vox would have put 2 different valves in as standard. Anyway, so let's take it out of standby, make sure it's still working. Sounds reassuring. I'll just strum the old guitar. Yep, that's working nicely. I've put the clip retainers back on here. By the way, there's no need to bias this amp. It's what's called a cathode biased amplifier. I'll do a video on the difference between what's called cathode biased and fixed bias. But the way to think of cathode biasing is it's like a kind of automatic regulation. The more current the tubes take, the more it gets turned down, and the less current they take, the more it gets turned up. So it kind of hunts around an equilibrium and just stays there. You can't adjust the bias on a cathode biased amplifier. You can adjust the bias on what's called a fixed bias amplifier, although that's a ridiculous name, isn't it? Fixed bias means you can adjust it. Go figure. What that means is it's fixed once you've adjusted it. and you need to adjust it via a pot or something to set up the BIOS. These lower power amplifiers that take EL84s are quite often cathode biased. The higher power amplifiers are almost never cathode biased, they're usually fixed bias. So anyway, the take home on this is nothing to do on the BIOS, that's all done, and this amp is good to go. I'll put the chassis back in the cabinet and attempt to get these screws in from underneath. Very awkward and difficult to do that, and then we can tell the customer that the amp is ready for collection. I wish they were all this easy. I suppose one thing I ought to say is I haven't changed the rectifier valve. You don't normally need to change it, they hardly ever go wrong. They're not in the signal path, it's just rectifying the high voltage AC and turning it into high voltage DC. It either works or it doesn't. They very rarely fail. I don't think I've ever known one fail actually, which I suppose I'm tempting fate there, but I never have. So I never bother wasting the client's money by changing the rectifier valve. That'll be fine. Good. Okay, let's wrap this up fairly quickly. I'm feeling a bit happier now. It always improves my mood when I fix an amp fairly quickly, and I didn't fancy getting involved in the printer circuit board on that one. So there we go, job done. Again, the old tapping around judiciously trick can often show up a fault. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed that. I'll catch you on my next video, and thanks very much for watching.